Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Cbrev. Welcome to the much awaited, much requested Face of the Franchise re-ranking. If you're new to my content, new to my channel, be sure to subscribe for more MLB The Show 20 stuff. So a lot of you guys have been asking for this one. I do individual card reviews if you're new to my channel, so each one of these Face of the Franchise cards has its own personal video for a card review. The link to the playlist for all 30 of those videos is in the description below, and at the end of this we're going to leave a timestamp in the description where we just run through my new rankings of these 30 Face of the Franchise cards. So I made a video like this before I used any of them, ranking kind of where I thought they would end up power level wise. Now I have used and reviewed all 30 of them, and so we're going to be re-ranking these Face of the Franchise cards based on my experiences with them. So hope you guys enjoy. A lot of you guys have been asking for this. Like I said, we are going to be ranking them from S tier down to D tier, just like we did in the first video. And for each card, I'll talk about where I originally ranked them for some perspective. So let's dive right into it. We're going to do S tier first and then work our way down to the lower cards. Starting it off in S tier is Matt Olson. We did rank him as S tier before, and both of the first two guys I'm going over for S tier were S tier in the pre-rankings. But yeah, Matt Olson was everything he was chalked up to be. Amazing fielding, amazing power, amazing swing. Not much else to say except one of the best first base options in the game right now. Absolutely love this card. Definitely S tier material. Next up in S tier, no surprises here, 89 Joey Gallo from the Texas Rangers. We all knew this card was going to be insane. He's got Gallo's swing and Gallo's power, and they juiced his fielding like crazy. This is an amazing card. Definitely S tier, and we ranked him as S tier before. Now moving forward in S tier, going to be a little bit of some surprises, so let's jump into those. Moving up from his original ranking of A tier into S tier, Fernando Tatis Jr. from the San Diego Padres. This card had it all for me, man. The stats I accumulated with this card were completely insane. I think I'm still hitting over 500 with him. Despite what his attributes show, this card has incredible power, and amazing defense as well, and he's got speed. This card really has it all. Definitely better than Correa and Gleyber as far as the Face of the Franchise shortstops go. I think Tatis is the best one for sure. Although Gleyber and Correa, spoiler alert, are both in A tier, so very good cards. But just to give you guys some perspective and separation, I'm putting Fernando Tatis in S tier above the other two. I think this card is incredible. Just plays way above his stats at the plate and brings everything else to the table as well. Also moving up from A tier to S tier, we got 87 Byron Buxton from the Minnesota Twins. If you guys follow my content, my streams, you guys know I have an obsession with this card. So I mentioned that his swing was glitchy in the original video, and that was a bit of an understatement. This guy has in-game fielding, in-game speed, and on top of that, plays insanely above his attributes at the plate. He has one of the glitchiest swings in the game. I think I'm hitting close to 400 with this card, and he's supposed to be a defensive option only. So not only are you getting in-game defense from this guy, but if you can put PCI on ball, the ball's going to go a long way with this card. I love Byron Buxton. Definitely S tier. Definitely one of the best outfielders in the entire game, in my opinion, right now. Two more in S tier. They're going to be a couple of surprises, probably. Juan Soto moving up from B tier all the way to S tier. What is there to say about Juan Soto other than that? One of the best swings in the game and just insane power at the plate. Also fits an amazing archetype to counter the meta right now. The meta is very right-handed heavy for pitching and hitting, and so cards like this that hit from the left side, that mash righties, are very valuable. And this card somehow plays above his attributes at the plate as well. Just insane amounts of power, amazing swing. Love me some Juan Soto, moving him up from B tier to S tier. And the final card in S tier may be a surprise as well, moving up from B tier in the original video, 89 Ozzy Albies from the Braves. The reason I rated this card as B tier in the original video is because his attributes versus righties are very low, and as I have mentioned a couple times already, you're going to face right-handed pitching most of the time in MLB The Show and in baseball in general. But after using this card, his swing compensates for those low attributes attributes a lot. This card still crushes righties, and because he crushes righties as well as he does, I'm moving him all the way up to S tier. That was really his only flaw except for arm strength, which is only going to hurt you really if you play him at shortstop. But other than that, this card has everything. Switch hitter, great swing. If he can mash righties, which he can, that improves him a lot. Crushes lefties, great fielding, above average speed, and a shortstop secondary. This card is incredible. Don't let those attributes against righties scare you like they did for me. This guy has hit so many no-doubters versus right-handed pitching. It's crazy. I am in love with this card, and he's rounding out S tier. Now let's hop into some A tier guys. Starting off A tier, moving up from B tier, 88 Rafael Devers. Not a whole lot to say with this card other than he crushed the ball way more than I was expecting and played pretty solid defense at third. Again, I'm talking kind of a long time with each of these, so I'm going to try to quicken it up now that we're out of S tier. But if you're interested in any of these cards in more in depth, check out that playlist of their card reviews. But yeah, Devers crushes the ball, insanely clutch for me as well. Loved this card, putting him in A tier. Next in A tier, the two shortstops, Gleyber Torres and Carlos Correa. Gleyber Torres, an amazing hitter, but played super sketchy defense for me, even when I played him at second base. Granted, his secondary position dropped his fielding. That may have something to do with it, but I really can't have my shortstops out there making errors all the time. This guy played really sketchy defense for me. Still an amazing card though. Obviously he's an A tier and he rakes. And for Carlos Correa, well-rounded shortstop as well. I just disliked a little bit that he didn't have much pop versus lefties. I really need these righties in my lineup to crush lefties if they get the opportunity. Although the reverse splits play really well with the meta, like I said. He also played amazing defense, really good card as well. Just Gleyber and Tatis are not on the same level. Or sorry, Gleyber and Correa are not on the same level as Tatis for me right now. Staying in A tier, he was ranked A tier before, 88 Shohei Ohtani from the Angels. I still really like this card. He has a tendency to get hit around on lower difficulties where you can't take advantage of his velocity. But on Legend, Hall of Fame, this card really shines on the mound, and obviously he can hit. I still really like this card. I know a lot of people don't, but for me, he's still A tier. Previously ranked as B tier, we got Yoan Moncada moving into A tier. I love this card. Great secondary positions, can play anywhere in the infield except for shortstop. Good enough fielding, good enough speed, super glitchy swing, switch hitter, and the right splits to match the meta, as I keep mentioning. Even if you get this guy up against a lefty though, he plays above his 61 power. I've still hit plenty of home runs versus lefties with this card. Amazing card. Yeah, switch hitter, great secondaries, great splits. Love Moncada. A couple of surprises rounding out the A tier. 87 Charlie Blackmon. This guy just crushed every pitch he saw. Compact swing that somehow was also generating 105 mile-an-hour exit velocities. This card raked at the plate, and despite his common defense, he played really solid defense for me in the outfield. I don't know what it was about this card, but I had absolutely no problems with him defensively as far as bad reaction or getting to the ball. So Blackmon up from C tier all the way to A tier. And rounding out A tier, another surprise, we got 87 Michael Conforto. This card's swing is so glitchy. He hit an absurd amount of home runs for me. I can't even describe how well this guy played at the plate. I'm just going to show you the stats I got with him again. 475 batting average and a 2000 OPS. My face is covering it, but 13 home runs in 40 at-bats. The power this guy was hitting for is just off the charts, and I have to put him in A tier. Only reason he's not S is because his splits versus lefties and his defense is a little bit of a knock on the card. But get this guy up against a right-handed pitcher and he's going to tee off. Alright, now that we're into B tier, I'm going to stop cutting between cards and just kind of go through the entire tier at once, since I'm sure most of you guys just cared about the S tier and the A tier cards at this point. But starting us off, we got Trey Mancini, who I rated as B tier before as well. Just an amazing hitter with sketchy defense, but glitchy swing for sure. A little bit of a disappointing one, moving down from S tier all the way to B tier. Blake Snell, I feel like people have figured out his delivery, at least in higher levels of competition. And one real big knock against him is his control and his stamina. It seems like I really struggle to get this guy through 5 or 6 innings whenever I pitch him. Still a really decent pitcher, but with all the prospect cards they've released and such, Definitely dropping down from S to B in my opinion as far as power level for pitchers. This one should surprise you guys. Vlad Jr. actually moving up from D tier to B tier. Card looks terrible on paper, but he hit amazing for me. Super glitchy swing, high exit velocities, things you like to see. Moving down from A tier to B tier is this Carlos Santana. He was just okay for me. His defense at catcher was really bad. He pretty much couldn't throw anyone out that had 75 speed or more, so I would not recommend playing this card at catcher at all. If you're going to use him, put him at first or third. I still like the switch hitting, I still like the attributes, but I just didn't feel like I got enough out of his hitting to make up for his poor defense. Granted, I did play him at catcher, like I said. Next is Anthony Rizzo, who was rated B tier before as well. Pretty much played exactly how he looks on paper. Crushed righties, did decent versus lefties. Solid first baseman. Next in B tier, who was also rated B tier before, Lorenzo Cain. Pretty unique card. High fielding with decent speed led him to play really good defense for me in center field, and just a slap swing that hit a lot of singles, man. This guy was an on-base machine for me. He's not going to hit dingers for you at all, but really good leadoff or 8-hole hitter and solid defense. Definitely a B tier card as far as face of the franchise goes. Next in B tier, moving up from C tier, Josh Bell. I rated Josh Bell C tier before because his fielding stats were so low. However, after using him, he seemed to play first base defense just fine, so that's why he's moving up from C to B. Great switch hitter with power, just a good card in general. Kyle Seager, next in B tier. We got a really solid underrated option at third base, honestly. Good defense, gold defense, and reverse splits with a lefty, which is pretty unique. Still hit righties really well. Also, great card. Hit above his splits against righties, in my opinion. And then finally in B tier, we got David Peralta. Another solid card that fits the meta well. Great splits versus righties. Good defensively. The 47 speed did not really hurt him much in the outfield because his fielding and reaction attributes are so high, and did decent against lefties for me as well. Alright, so we only got 8 cards left. I kind of skewed these a little higher as far as tier lists because I actually did enjoy using a lot of these face of the franchise guys. There weren't many cards that I was disappointed in. This was one of them, however. We are now in C tier. Justin Turner moving down from B tier to C tier. Didn't really crush lefties in the way I needed him to make this card viable. His defense was really sketchy, and he didn't really play above his attributes against righties. Again, you're facing righties most of the time, so this card just didn't perform very well for me at all, to be honest. Next in C tier, Brian Anderson, just kind of the most meh player out of any of these face of the franchise cards. Third base, not really a position where you need high fielding stats in MLB The Show, which is opposite of real life. Most of this card's overall comes from his fielding, which you don't really need at third, and his swing kind of sucks. I really don't like Brian Anderson's swing. The ball just went nowhere when I put good swings on the ball with this card. He was rated C tier before. He's staying in C tier. Dropping down from B tier to C tier is this Aaron Nola. He looked decent to me on paper, and I thought starting pitching would be kind of hard to come by early in the year. But when they dropped all these prospect starters that are really good, this card really took a hit. This card really does nothing special and struggles to get guys out, especially when he's ahead in the count. You're just really not going to fool anyone with anything this guy throws. Kind of a bummer because I like Aaron Nola in real life, but he is moving down from B tier to C tier, and then rounding out C tier, also moving down from B tier, is this Whit Merrifield. I know a lot of people like this card, and his defensive utility is really good. He can play anywhere but shortstop and catcher, but for me, it just was another card where it felt like even when I was putting PCI on ball, it just wasn't going anywhere. A lot of lazy lineouts on Perfect that were like 91 miles an hour. I just didn't have a good experience with Whit. Granted, I'm kind of a power addict, and I feel like I should get an extra base hit when I hit a Perfect. If you're more of a singles person, this may be a better card for you. And then we'll just finally go into the last 4 in D tier, kind of a similar D tier to what I originally rated. This Matthew Boyd, originally D tier, staying in D tier. Just not a good card in my opinion. No velocity. The speed differential between his off speed is not high enough for anyone to really be fooled by any of it, and left-handed pitchers are in a really bad spot in the meta right now, with all the lineups being right-handed heavy. This is probably the closest card out of any of them to being F tier, and I think I would probably rate Boyd the 30th best face of the franchise if I had to rate them 1 through 30. Next in D tier, also previously rated D tier, we got Joey Votto. Just doesn't do anything well except for field, honestly. Another one of those cards where the ball just didn't go anywhere despite his hitting stats. And 17 speed is really killer, man. You could hit one in the gap and get thrown out at second trying to get a double with 17 speed. So big hindrance there. Did not like Joey Votto at all. Last two are both the catchers. Buster Posey, previously rated as D tier, staying in D tier. For this card specifically, he didn't play awful. His defense was amazing for me, actually, but just really only hit singles, and there's already a 99 Buster Posey in the game, so this card is kind of pointless. And then piggybacking off of what I said with Joey Votto, 11 speed is just too slow to do anything. Even if you hit the ball to the wall, it's probably still a single. Just really tough. And then lastly, previously rated as C tier, dropping down to D tier, this Yadier Molina. Again, amazing defense for me, but just did absolutely nothing at the plate. This might have been one of the worst hitters I've used the entire year as far as trying to get on base. This guy just could not hit his way out of a wet paper bag for me, and 5 speed on top of that, the slowest out of any of these face of the franchise cards. Just not a good option offensively at all. Just really didn't like Yadier Molina. So that's going to wrap up the video. I hope this was helpful for y'all. Stay tuned for a full tier list for the entire game coming tomorrow. I'll have that dropping for you guys before Stage 2 of Team Affinity drops. I appreciate you watching. If you made it this far, drop a comment if you have any questions. I do read those comments. I try to get back to you guys the best that I can, and let me know if you disagree with some of these ratings. I would love to hear it from y'all. So I love all you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace. One more thing I forgot to mention for you guys, I forgot to list all the cards in their tiers at the very end, so we'll do the timestamp now. Updated face of the franchise rankings in S tier, we got Ozzy Albies, Juan Soto, Byron Buxton, Matt Olson, Joey Gallo, and Fernando Tatis Jr. A tier, we got Rafael Devers, Gleyber Torres, Carlos Correa, Michael Conforto, Yohan Moncada, Shohei Ohtani, and Charlie Blackmon. B tier, Trey Mancini, Blake Snell, Vlad Jr., Carlos Santana, Anthony Rizzo, Lorenzo Cain, Josh Bell, Kyle Seager, and David Peralta. C tier, Justin Turner, Brian Anderson, Aaron Nola, and Whit Merrifield. And D tier, Matthew Boyd, Joey Votto, Buster Posey, and Yadier Molina. So I know I already signed off, but I'm going to do it again. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.